Okay. Good evening and welcome councillors, executive leadership team, community members and council staff to tonight's ordinary council meeting. My name is Councillor Leslie Hewitt and I'm the Mayor of the Hepburn Shire Council. We would like to acknowledge we're meeting on Jara people country, of which members and elders of the Judja Wurrung community and their forebears have been custodians for many centuries. On this land, the Jara people have performed age-old ceremonies of celebration, initiation and renewal. We acknowledge their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region. I would like to invite my councillor colleagues to stand and read the Statement of Commitment. We, the councillors
of Hepburn Shire,
declare that
we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interests of the community and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Governance so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of Hepburn Shire.
Thank you. Council continues to be guided by the government directives to do the right thing for the health of our community during the COVID-19 pandemic. In line with these directives, the gallery is not able to join us in person tonight. In the spirit of open, transparent and accountable governance, this ordinary council meeting is being live streamed on Council Facebook page and you will be able to view the proceedings of the meeting, councillor deliberations and voting. The meeting is also being recorded and will be made available on the council website as soon as practicable after the meeting. Pursuant to the ministerial guidelines, should technology problems be encountered by the council where there's an inability to be able to broadcast this meeting to the public, then the meeting must be adjourned until it's resolved or postponed. Council's meeting will be conducted tonight in accordance with the Local Government Act 2020, the COVID-19 Omnibus Amendment Energy Measures Act 2020, the Minister's Good Practice Guidelines MGPG1, virtual meetings, council governance rules and the Hepburn Shire Council Code of Conduct. A priority for council was to continue to allow for the opportunity for our community to engage with council via public participation time. We acknowledge that to continue to protect the health and wellbeing of our staff and the community, public questions will be read by me and those addressing council will be join us via Zoom. For tonight's meeting, council received 8 public questions and no request to address council. In accordance with Chapter 6, Section 3 of our governance rules, a person, including any representative of the media, must not operate photographic, audio or video recording equipment or any other recording device at any council meeting without first obtaining the consent of the chairperson. And at this point, no one has requested that they would like to record this meeting. Permission does need to be sought if someone wants to take that footage and use it or broadcast it. I also remind everyone that local government decision making, unlike state and federal government, does not afford the benefit of parliamentary privilege and hence no protection is afforded to councillors and council officers for comments made during meetings which are subsequently challenged in a court of law and determined to be slanderous. I would now like to introduce council officers who are present in the council meeting. Mr Bradley Thomas, the Interim Chief Executive Officer, Mr Andrew Burgess, Acting Director Corporate and Community Services, Mr Bruce Lucas, Director Infrastructure and Development Services, Ms Kristen Fort, the Manager of Governance and Risk, and Mr Chris White, the ICT Manager via Zoom. Are there any apologies? No? Then we'll move on. As required at any other meeting of council, councillors must declare a conflict of interest at the start of the meeting and leave the meeting when the item is presented. Councillors will be required to leave the meeting and return when the item has been resolved. At any point during the meeting, if any other councillor recognises that they have an indirect or direct interest, at any point and follow the same procedures. Councillors, I now ask if any councillor has a conflict of interest to declare, and note that if there are any conflicts of interest to declare, may I ask councillors to state which provisions of the Act their conflict of interest satisfies and the item of the agenda they have a conflict of interest in. Councillors?
Madam Mayor, I have a conflict of interest for item 11.1, general interests and material interest potentially.
Thank you, Councillor Dryley. Are there any other councillors with a conflict of interest? No, thank you. Officers that are present, I now ask whether you have a conflict of interest in any items presented before council tonight.
No, Madam Mayor.
No, thank you. Item 5 on the agenda, the confirmation of previous meeting minutes. I have a recommendation before us to adopt meeting minutes from council's previous council meetings. The recommendation that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on 16th of February 2021 and the minutes of the special meeting of council held on the 23rd of February 2021, as previously circulated to all councillors, be confirmed. I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Moved Councillor Henderson, seconded Councillor Halliday. Councillors, I put this motion to the vote. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. That's Councillor Halliday, Councillor Hood, Councillor Dryley, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Simpson and myself. So I declare that the motion is carried. Item 6, items of urgent business. Are there any items of urgent business before us tonight or that anyone wants to propose?
No, Madam Mayor.
No, in which case, thank you. We'll move to item 7, the presentation of council reports. I've tabled my report for the minutes, which just list the activities and events that I've been involved in, but would just like to note that there was a very good International Women's Day, which was the first opportunity for a large group of people to attend an event since COVID restrictions, and that approximately 120 people attended at the Daylesford Town Hall to hear Bianca Chatfield speak about her experiences in having women's sport recognised, and to also see Frances Vivian, Betty Johns and Verona Doyle inducted onto the Heather Muddama Women's Honour Roll. I want to take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge the work of Bridget O'Brien, Council Staff Officer, in organising this well-attended and inspirational event. I'd also like to note that, that when the Chill Out went ahead under difficult circumstances, and I was pleased to represent the Shire at 2 events. The first, the Grove of Gratitude, involved planting 100 trees at Wombat Flat, Lake Daylesford. Chill Out have offered to plant 100 trees every year for 5 years to recognise and remember those who've contributed to the community. And again, congratulations on behalf of the Shire, not only to Chill Out for this initiative, but to recognise Brian Bainbridge and the Parks and Gardens team for the site preparation, and to Friends of Cornish Hill for assisting. Councillors and members of the public will be able to read the summary of activities that I've undertaken in an official capacity in the tabled report, so I won't read that out now. I'll move on to councillor reports. Councillor Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be relatively brief. I too attended the International Women's Day, and it was really pleasing to see such a diverse group of women from across the whole Shire, and people from, I'm sure, all walks of life who come together as women to enjoy the acknowledgement of what they've put in over many, many years. I also attended another gathering at the Alfred Deakin Place in Ballarat, where I was lucky enough to be walking beside many, many women who were protesting about the treatment of people, mainly in Parliament House, but in general. And it's no surprise coming to me of how those women have been treated in our society. And my attention was drawn to 3 women who were dressed period costume from different centuries, and to come to the realisation that nothing much has changed in the 3 centuries that they represented. It was a very big disappointment. And I also came to the understanding that whilst we're talking about women in leadership positions, we aren't going to take away leadership positions from men in the short term, or even medium to long term. So it's beholden upon men in leadership positions to stand up and be truly mindful of the way women are treated. So I think that's something that I would ask everybody who's looking at this broadcast, Madam Mayor, to just reflect upon. I also attended yesterday a pretty sad meeting down at the Newland Sports Complex, where farmers were coming in protesting about the transmission lines. They were more protesting about the fact that they're being kept in the dark and not being told the truth. I can report, Madam Mayor, that I went along and I wasted my time along with many other people, and the general feeling was that the people were there to tick a box and not there to listen in a genuine way. And that was very, very disappointing. On a good note, and perhaps a bit parochial, we've had really good feedback of the council work starting on the fountain in Creswick. People remember the fountain. Not many people can remember it ever having water in it as permanent running water, but they're nevertheless very happy to see it done. So I think a commendation to the staff who've got that project going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillor Hood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My report too is tabled with the minutes, but I would like to make a few brief remarks. I'm very pleased to report 2 important initiatives implemented in the past month in Colaban Ward. Firstly, a council customer service desk has been created in the Trentham Library, allowing for a wide range of customer services to be transacted locally. This brings Colaban up to par with other wards. Secondly, after much hard work and anxious delays, the Trentham Early Learning Centre recently opened, providing childcare services in conjunction with the highly successful kindergarten. It took months to employ suitably skilled staff, but the perseverance and diligence of council staff Fran Fogarty and Kate Proctor enabled this much needed facility to open. Thank you, Fran and Kate. I attended a workshop on safe and affordable housing in the past month. A study undertaken by a PhD student to quantify the scope of underlying problems in these 2 areas is compelling and alarming. Council has undertaken to prepare a policy on safe and affordable housing, and I will be keen to see this work progress and for Council to play its role in alleviating the challenges we as a community face in these areas. Significant work has been undertaken in the past month on the commencement of our critically important work to develop a vision for the Shire in partnership with the community and to develop sustainable and achievable long-term plans. At the completion of a recent presentation and discussion with grade 4 primary school students on the role of councils, I posed them the question, what was important to them and what did they value most in living in and around Trentham? It was instructive and encouraging to hear the 10-year-olds emphasise, in their own words, the natural environment, the sense of community, and the desire to preserve the unique and characterful feel of our townships. We would do well to heed those words of wisdom. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. Councillor Simpson. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Please see my report as tabled. Thank you. Councillor Bray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also table my report. I just highlight a couple of things from this last month. I was really thrilled to be invited to the exhibition as part of Chill Out Festival at the Convent Gallery, Serving in Silence. It was an exhibition which documented the experiences of LGBTIQ people in the Australian military. It was a very moving forum, and we had 3 excellent speakers who very openly shared their experiences. And I do recommend if people have a chance to get down to that exhibition, it's still on. I was also able to attend the Forum for Social and Affordable Housing. We had a good, strong turnout of 36 committed community people in the room, workshopping priorities for the next steps in an action plan. I was also in attendance of the International Women's Day, had the Mutara Honour Roll induction. A highlight for me was the netballer Bianca Chatfield's address, and I was also very impressed with the presentations of Daylesford College students Naoka Newton and Lucinda Lowe, who spoke about equity for women in science and sport, and also Yamaya Greenwood, who entertained us so beautifully with her singing and guitar. I was able to attend the opening of a next generation art exhibition in the Ballarat Art Gallery, showcasing the outstanding work of top Year 12 students in the Western District. 3 students from Daylesford College were represented, and it's well worth a look. The art is of a very high standard. As part of that, as with all councillors, I was involved with the community pop-up vision community engagement exercises we've been doing around in various locations, and it's been a real thrill to be able to listen and hear some of the ideas that are coming from the community about how we as a Shire can move forward. And I would reiterate the sentiments of the grade 4 students from Trentham Primary School on that one. I think we're hearing a lot of that sort of sentiment. The last thing I would like to say is with the survey, we have the survey online. It's still available until the end of the week. This Friday, the 19th, it will close. So if you haven't already had a chance, that would be a great opportunity. And I've also been promoting the hip hop classes that the youth program's been running, which is happening, I think, in Creswick and also in Daylesford at the Town Hall.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. Councillor Dryly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to table my full report, but I'd like to mention a couple of things briefly. It's been a busy few weeks. I attended a waste and recycling forum in Ararat, looking at the future of different waste initiatives through the state and potential impacts on our Shire. I also visited attended the youth strategy workshops in Creswick, where we're developing directions for youth in Creswick. Really important discussions happening, and we look forward to doing that again in the next couple of weeks. I've also been attending pop-up sessions around the council vision and council plan, and we had a session in Creswick last Saturday, which was well attended, and the community do seem to be appreciating our efforts to get out and to be engaged with them. I visited Kingston Friday evening a couple of weeks ago to talk to people about the transmission lines and the effect on the community in that area, and to listen to their concerns. I spoke to a few people, and there is certainly a lot of tension brewing in that area, and a lot of dissatisfaction with the direction that things are heading there. I also attended an affordable housing forum along with a couple of other councillors on a very informative and quite inspiring, looking at affordability in the Shire and around community and social housing, and looking forward to the policy that we're developing as a council to how we might go forward in that area. I also attended the International Women's Day event and enjoyed Bianca Chatfield's talk and the performances as well. And I attended an event at Chill Out with ABC journalist Patricia Carvelis and 2 other panellists, an important discussion around identity and politics within the community. And that's all I've got at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dryly. Councillor Halliday.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this month, the focus definitely has been on the community engagement for stage 2 of Hepburn Together, and the council has run 2 sessions in Clunes and 1 in Smeaton. The attendance has been varied, with 36 at the first session, none at the second session and 4 at the third. I would like to implore all my constituents in the Cameron ward, you still have time till the end of the week to fill out the online survey and have your say. And I'd encourage you all to get involved. I also attended the International Women's Day Heather Mutimer Women's Honour Roll event, and I'd like to congratulate the organisers. It was a fantastic and well-attended event. Hopefully we can increase the capacity for next year. The highlight for me was the talks and performances from the students of Dalesford Secondary College. I'd like to say congratulations. You're all very inspirational young women. It was fantastic to see the Clunes Market return on Sunday. There were 30 stalls, and we had great weather and great crowds. That was exciting to have that back after a year of COVID and the uncertainty that our local market decided not to hold markets over that time. So it's great to see that back. I'm looking forward to volunteering at the next market. And for anyone who's not sure, it's the second Sunday of every month. The planning scheme panel report came back this month, and the council officers have done a lot of work on implementing the panel's recommendations and making sure that the amendment is the best it can be before it's adopted. It has been a lot of work, and there's been a lot of councillors have input as well as officers, and I think everyone's done a great job. I just wanted to say that I am satisfied that we have done as much as we can do at this stage. There is still so much more to do, but we need to wait until we complete the in-depth planning scheme work later this year. So I look forward to that taking place. And I think that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Halliday. So I have a recommendation that council receives and notes the mayor's and council's reports. Can I have a mover? Moved Councillor Simpson and a seconder. Councillor Finch. All those in favour? Motion to the vote. All those in favour, raise your hand. Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Halliday, Councillor Foote and Councillor Dryling, myself, Councillor Hewitt. So I declare that the motion is carried unanimously. Item 8.3, the Chief Executive Officer's report. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too will table my report, and that will form part of the council minutes. Just like to identify 4 items, if I could quickly. Fantastic to see a number of events returning across the Shire. So not just events like Chill Out and the International Women's Day, but also our markets. And great to see a bit of a buzz around the Shire. You'll see in the interim CEO's report a number of meetings attended across the last month as we continue our advocacy work with both state and federal governments, and really looking to pick Hepburn Shire projects in front of government for potential funding. Our Hepburn Shire aquatic strategy will kick off in the coming months, and we've appointed a contractor. But like a number of councillors have spoken about, the main item for the last 4 weeks has been the Hepburn Together project. Can I say a massive thank you, particularly to the staff that have been involved in that project. A significant amount of work has been undertaken. We've now been in touch with, through mail outs, meetings with various people, over 800 residents and community members. I think that's a fantastic effort for a small rural shire. We've got over 200 surveys that have already been received, and once again, say to the community, we really want to hear from you and your feedback, and we've got till Friday to do that. But I think for this organisation to be able to touch over 800 people in stage 2 of the Hepburn Together project is a fantastic effort by the community, to councillors and to staff. So thank you very much, Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. There's a recommendation that council receives and notes the interim chief officer's report for March 2020. A question.
I so moved.
Oh, moved by councillor Henderson. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bray. All those in, I'll put the motion all to the vote. All those in favour, raise their hand. Councillor Halliday, councillor Wood, councillor Dryly, councillor Simpson, councillor Bray, councillor Henderson, and myself. So the vote, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we move to public participation time, and item 8.1, we've had 2 petitions received. The first one is a petition to install CCTV at Collins Place, Clunes, to deter vandalism. The petition was received on the 3rd of March 2021 and has been signed by 129 people. However, 45 number of signatures are invalid as a complete address has not been provided. The petition reads, to install CCTV in Collins Place, Clunes, due to the ongoing and frequent vandalism events in this park and at the toilet block. There is a recommendation that Council 1 receives and notes the petition, and 2 refers the petition to the Director Infrastructure and Development Services for investigation and response. I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder? So moved, Councillor Halliday. Seconder? Councillor Henderson. Councillor Halliday, do you want to say anything to the motion?
I might. I just wanted to quickly say that thank you very much to everyone who did complete or be involved in the petition and bringing it, I guess, the voice of the people to the council. I feel like it is a very important issue, as we have had repeated vandalism over years, and it is a big problem. So hopefully, now that it's being referred to the Director of Infrastructure, we'll get something actioned and go from there.
Thank you, Councillor Halliday. I'm advised that I didn't need anyone to speak to that, so I'll put the motion now. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Halliday, Councillor Wood and Councillor Dryly and myself. So the motion is carried unanimously. The second petition is the change of location for the Glenline Public Art Project. The petition was received on the 9th of March 2021 and has been signed by 103 people. However, one signature was invalid as a complete address was not provided. The petition reads, and I quote, "The petitioners hereby request that the council take all necessary steps to ensure that the sculpture by Yu Fang Chi, called The Drop, is not installed at the Glenline Dam, or if installed, is removed and relocated to the Glenline Mineral Springs. A better site is available, the Mineral Springs site previously proposed and identified by council as Site A, which is liked by the artist, offers better accessibility and facility to visitor and would be enhanced by the artwork. Installation of the sculpture at the Glenline Dam, by nature of its size and material, presents a danger of interruption to operations by emergency services vital to the Glenline district, may deter native wildlife and would irrevocably change the character of the historic Glenline Dam. The design of the sculpture, as promoted at the dam location, is counterintuitive to the symbolism being water droplet. Drops emerge from the pump. Water does not primarily take droplet form coming in and out of a dam which is spring fed." End of quote. So I have a recommendation that Council 1 receives and notes the petition, 2 refers the petition to the Acting Director, Community and Corporate Services to coordinate a response, and 3 requests that officers prepare a report regarding the petition for the April ordinary meeting of Council. I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover? And moved Councillor Simpson, and a seconder Councillor Bray. I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour of the motion, please raise your hand. Councillor Halliday, Councillor Hood, Councillor Dryly, Councillor Simpson, Councillor Henderson and myself, Councillor Hewitt. So the motion is carried. 8.2, the questions. I will read out and respond to new questions received in accordance with Council's governance rules. The first question is from Ms. Noella Sweeney. And thank you, Ms. Sweeney, for your question. I'm reading the question now. Under the risk assessment category set down by Council in its domestic wastewater management plan, June 2014, an allotment size of less than 125,000 square metres is assessed to be a high risk for on-site wastewater treatment systems. Glenlines Hamlet development average allotment size is less than 125,000 square metres. How could a property be unsuitable in Council's plan in 2014 and yet under the same 2014 plan be suitable today? Thank you, Ms. Sweeney. The response: there has been no changes to the Council Domestic Wastewater Management Plan 2014. The plan includes a risk matrix to enable prioritisation of audits of existing wastewater management systems in the Shire. The matrix includes several factors, one factor being that a property under 4,000 square metres is a risk factor, but it is not the only consideration. It does not imply that a property below this size could not be developed depending on the risk matrix and the other factors. The intention of the risk matrix is to provide a risk classification to individual properties with existing systems for which to focus on for an audit program. The second question is also from Ms. Noella Sweeney. Will the Council make public the current rules it is using for domestic wastewater management for development in unsewered towns? And the response from Council: Council does not create its own rules for domestic wastewater management. Council is guided by the Environment Protection Act 1970, the EPA's Code of Practice for On-Site Wastewater Management, and the State Environment Protection Policy, Waters of Victoria, and through the statutory planning process, the requirements of the relevant water authority. In the written response back to you, Ms. Sweeney, Council will provide a link to all of these documents. The following 6 questions relate to the Hepburn Hub at the Rex, and Council acknowledges that there's great interest in this project and a shared desire for the project to be progressed without delay. I would like to say that we're being completely transparent in the report at item 9.3 of tonight's agenda, and we do acknowledge some of the delays with works commencing. I must also acknowledge and ask you to understand that there are complex contract negotiations continuing and that our officers are working hard to resolve these matters. While these negotiations continue, I'm not able to provide detailed responses to some of these questions. Question 3 tonight comes from Ms. Jana Lyons, who says, on the first page of the report into the Rex update, it states, this is a direct quote, the forecast date for completion of the works is currently the 14th of August 2021, 2 months beyond the baseline. This is due to the contractor not commencing works on site, end of quote. However, Table 4 project program summary indicates a current program forecast end date for construction of 22nd of June 2021 and for occupation 29th of June 2021. This is contradictory to the 14th of August date in the first page of the report. If the builder has not commenced work and the build time is 5 months, how can the council be credibly claiming that construction will finish on the 22nd of June and occupation will be 29th of June 2021? Council's response is that the difference is essentially the difference between the formally approved date under the contract and the forecast actual date. The first date is a legal date known as the date for practical completion under the contract. It is calculated in accordance with the terms of the building contract and is amended from time to time by adding additional days where that is appropriate. In a similar way, where variations to the works are required, they are valued and added to the original contract sum. The forecast date is the likely date of practical completion. As the builder has not commenced work, it is unlikely the works will be completed before mid-August. The next question is also from Ms. Gina Lyons, and thank you, Ms. Lyons, for submitting these questions. Under the heading of program risks in the REX update, it states that 3 extension of time claims have been received. What were the specific matters associated with EOT 001 and EOT 002? Ms. Lyons, the specifics of these claims are contractual in nature and it is not appropriate to discuss them here in detail. What can be said is that they have been appropriately assessed by council officers and a total of 9 working days have been awarded to the contractor in accordance with the contract. Our next question is from Diane Sharp, who asks, on page 18, under the heading Scope Risks, it states, and I quote, on the 9th of February 2021, the builder raised a number of queries regarding the existing conditions, claiming that they vary significantly from those they inspected during the tender period. These issues are being investigated to determine if further works are required or if the builder should have been aware of them before submitting their tender from their own site investigations. End of quote. Ms. Sharp's question is, what conditions and issues and why wasn't the builder aware of these prior to submitting their tender? The response, the builder has raised a number of concerns with council that relate to work undertaken in the initial stage 1, early works and queries that predate council's purchase of the building. Council is continuing to negotiate these contractual matters with the builder and is not able to elaborate further at this stage. Question 6 is also from Diane Sharp, who says, on page 20, under the heading Project Program, it states, and I quote, the builder was provided with a notice to proceed in early January, but is effectively claiming that the condition of the site is materially different to one inspected by them during the tender period due to incomplete and defective base building conditions. End of quote. What does this mean, and is it linked to water running down the walls and leakage from the roof, consequently affecting the base building? The response from council is that under the existing contract, the builder is responsible to deliver the full scope of works under the contract. Council believes that the site is not materially different to the one inspected by all tenderers during the tender process. Council has completed the stage 1 early works and obtained a certificate of final inspection from the building surveyor in the time since the tender process. However, these works are not considered materially different. Your reference to water running down walls is a known issue, and additional items were included in the contract awarded by council and are deemed part of the contract works. Thank you, Ms. Sharp, for your question. Question 7 from Linda Carroll. Has the council built into a contract a penalty clause with the builder, i.e., if the build is not completed by the stated date, is the council able to be compensated from the builder? And if not, why not? Council's response, yes. The contract has provision for granting of penalties for late delivery, known as liquidated damages. These, have to be a reasonable amount to compensate council for late delivery and are calculated for every day the actual date of practical completion falls behind the contractual date for practical completion. Thank you, Ms Carroll, for your question. And our final question tonight is from Mark Dankers, who says, the report states, and I quote, the decision by the builder not to actually commence works on site now represents a material risk that the date for practical completion cannot be achieved. End of quote. Given that the build is 2 months behind schedule and the report does not inspire confidence that the issues with the builder will be resolved soon, has the council briefed lawyers to initiate action under breach of contract? If question 1 was answered in the negative, why not? And the response from council: lawyers have been briefed on the circumstances and are providing advice to council. This exchange follows the dispute process set out in the contract, which has as its objective the settlements of disputes so that works can continue. I'd like to thank everybody for their interest and for submitting those questions, and to again just acknowledge that there's a great interest in the project and a shared desire from all of us to progress it without delay. I'd also like to add that council is being, add and reiterate that council's being completely transparent in the report on item 9.3, and we do acknowledge that there's some delays with works commencing. And I also want to just repeat that there are complex contract negotiations continuing, that our officers are working very hard to resolve these matters, and that whilst these negotiations continue, we're not able to provide any further detailed responses to those questions. And I hope that the questioners do understand that. And thank you again very much for your interest. We'll move on to item 9.1, which is the renewal of lease for Lena's Kitchen, Shop 1, The Rex, 47 to 53 Vincent Street, Daylesford. And I would like to introduce Mr. Bruce Lucas, who's the Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, to introduce the report. Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Shop 1 of the Rex building at 47 to 53 Vincent Street, Daylesford is under a lease which commenced back in December 2012 and is currently tenanted by Lena's Kitchen. The lease was for a initial period of 3 years and contains options for a further 2 terms, each of 3 years. Council, in partnership with the current tenant, are now looking to exercise the final option to extend that current lease and have proceeded with the drafting of a deed of renewal of lease whilst it is continued to operate in holdover provisions. Renewal of the lease has been prepared to confirm the details of the further term, which is for a period of 1 December 2018 to 30th of November 2021. Council's approval is required to proceed with the renewal of the lease. Councillors, there is a recommendation there on page 10 of the agenda, and I'll read that in a moment, but also to add that and acknowledge that the renewal of the lease is behind schedule and that the exercising of this final option of the current lease arrangement is due to expire in November of this year. Officers are well aware of that and are working with the tenant to make sure that that is fully understood, and then for council to consider what future options may be available for that particular property. Councillors, the officer's recommendation, as I said on page 10, is that council grants the renewal of the lease to Lena's Kitchen in accordance with the attached deed of renewal lease and authorises the Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor to execute and seal the renewal of the lease documentation for and on behalf of council.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Councillors, are there any questions of Mr. Lucas on this matter? Then I'm in search of a motion as read out by Mr. Lucas, the recommendation. Moved Councillor Hood. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Halliday. I won't read it again. It's just been read. Councillor Hood, do you want to speak to the motion? Councillor Halliday? Is there anyone who wants to speak against the motion? Then I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. And those in favour are Councillor Halliday, Councillor Hood, Councillor Dryelly, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Simpson, and myself, Councillor Hewitt. I declare that the motion is carried unanimously. 9.2 is the renewal of lease for Stockdale and Lego, Shop 2 and 3, the Rex, 47 to 53 Street, Dalesford. And again, I introduce Mr. Bruce Lucas, Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, to introduce this report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Another report similar to the previous one, and as you said, this is for Shop 2 and 3 of the Rex building at 47 to 53 Vincent Street. Again, this is an existing lease that was issued back in February of 2010, was for an initial period of 5 years and contains options for 4 further 5-year terms. It's 25 years in total if all options are exercised. Again, in discussions with the current tenant, Council has proceeded with the drafting of a deed of renewal of lease and has been prepared by Council solicitors to confirm the details of that lease. And it's proposed to be for the period of the 15th of February 2020 to the 14th of February 2025, and 2 further options will remain at the completion of this proposed extension. Again, Council's approval is required to proceed with the renewal of the lease. And similarly to the previous report, the officer's recommendation is that Council grants the renewal of the lease to Stockdale and Lego in accordance with the attached deed of renewal of the lease, and authorises the Chief Executive Officer and the Mayor to execute and seal the renewal of the lease documentation on behalf of Council.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Do any councillors have any questions of Mr. Lucas about this report? In which case, I'm in search of a motion as per the recommendation read out by Mr. Lucas, moved by Councillor Hood, seconded by Councillor Dryling. Councillor Hood, do you want to speak to the motion? Councillor Dryling? Does any councillor want to speak against the motion? In which case, I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Those in favour are Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Dryling, Councillor Hood and Councillor Halliday, and myself, Councillor Hewitt. So I declare that the motion is carried. Item 9.3 is the Hepburn Hub at the Rex project with an update. And again, I would like to ask Mr. Bruce Lucas, the Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of the report is to provide councillors with information to allow council to properly monitor the progress of the project against the project plan. As at the end of February, the project scope remains unchanged and within the enclosed space, and the expenditure budget remains unchanged at $7.13 million. As has already been referenced tonight through the public participation time, we note that the builder has not yet started on site, and there have been some minor adjustments to the formal date of practical completion, 9 days as it stands right now. However, given works have not commenced on site, we are also forecasting that that formal date of practical completion is unlikely to be achieved, and forecasting the actual date of practical completion to be more like middle of August as things stand today. Councillors, I acknowledge the comments of the Mayor in public participation time, and I can assure you that this is not where officers wanted to be either, and we are working incredibly hard to try and resolve these issues with the contractor, and if not by the hour, certainly by the day, involved in discussions with all parties. So to acknowledge that that's not just myself, that's a team of people, and also with people outside the organisation and the legal support that you've also referenced. Councillors, there is a detailed report there. The primary risk around the program timeline is probably the key point to note, and I'll take the rest of the report as read.
Thank you, Mr. Lucas. Councillors, are there any questions of Mr. Lucas about this? No, then the officer's recommendation is that council receives and notes the March 2021 project update report regarding the Hepburn Hub at the Rex project. I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved, councillor Bray, seconded, councillor Halliday. Councillor Bray, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, Madam Mayor, just to say that I wanted to thank the council officers for the hard work they're putting into resolving the situation as quickly as possible.
Thank you, councillor Bray. Councillor Halliday,
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
does anyone want to speak against the motion? Then I will put the motion to the vote. That the motion is that council receives and notes the March 2021 project update report regarding the Hepburn Hub at the Rex project. All those in favour, raise your hand. Councillor Halliday, Councillor Hood, Councillor Dryly, Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Anderson, and myself, Councillor Hewitt. So the motion is passed. Thank you, councillors, and Mr Lucas. Item 9.4, minutes of the Community Asset Committees, and I'd like to introduce Mr Andrew Burgess, who's the Acting Director of Community and Corporate Services, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is a procedural report. The purpose of this report is for council to note the minutes from council's community asset committees. I note that these minutes have been provided confidentially to council. Community asset committees are established by council under section 65 of the Local Government Act 2020 and their function and responsibilities outlined in an instrument of delegation. Under that instrument of delegation, councillors' committees are required to maintain minutes of meetings held and provide a copy of those minutes to council. Councillors have been provided with those minutes from two of our community asset committees, those being the Glenlyon Recreation Reserve Community Asset Committee from the 25th of November 2020 meeting, and the Creswick Museum Community Asset Committee from the 3rd of February 2021 meeting. The recommendation is that council receives and notes the minutes of the community asset committees which have been distributed to councillors.
Thank you, Mr Burgess. Are there any questions of Mr Burgess? The Mayor's got a question. Could we consider, Mr Burgess, going forward that these minutes not be considered confidential
Certainly, Madam Mayor.
for today?
Not for today, but certainly we can explore that opportunity to ensure that the minutes are not marked as confidential and come back to council with that.
Thank you very much. So the officer's recommendation is that council receives and notes the minutes of the community asset committees which have been distributed to councillors. The two are the Glenlyon Recreation Reserve Community Asset Committee, 25th of November 2020, and the Creswick Museum Community Asset Committee, 3rd of February 2021. I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved, councillor Simpson, seconded, councillor Dryly. Councillor Simpson, do you want to speak in favour?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Dryly? Or anyone want to speak against the motion? So, councillors, all those in favour, raise your hand. That's councillor Simpson, councillor Bray, councillor Henderson, councillor Dryly, councillor Wood, councillor Halliday, and myself, councillor Hewitt. So I declare that the motion is carried. Item 10.1, the Swiss-Italian Festa Agreement. And again, Mr Andrew Burgess is the Acting Director of Community and Corporate Services. Could you please introduce the report?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. This report is for council to consider entering into a one-year memorandum of understanding with the Hepburn Swiss Italia Festa. Council's event strategy from 2020 to 25 outlines a 5-year plan to increase visitation, length of stay and expenditure within the region to position Hepburn Shire to be the premier regional Victoria events destination. A key pillar in that strategy, councillors, is to provide event funding and operational support through council's event funding framework. The event funding framework identifies specific event categories, criteria and level of council support. Those categories are signature or iconic events, regional events or local community events. All those three categories of events are equally important to this council, and this council has a fantastic record of supporting all three levels of those events. Memorandums of understanding are required between council and event organisers for all signature and iconic events. And the organisers of the Swiss Italia Festa are seeking to negotiate that new one-year agreement with council. The Swiss Italia Festa itself commenced in 1992 and it celebrates the legacy of the Swiss Italian migrants who came to Daylesford and Hepburn Springs goldfields in the 1850s. The Festa celebrates the region's exceptional food and wine, vibrant arts and cultural life, its heritage buildings, the springs, mineral springs, our baths and spa. Council first formalised a funding agreement with the Swiss Italia Festa in 2010 and continued this until the event was cancelled in 2018 and then again 2019 due to a lack of volunteer support. I will note, councillors, that volunteers and events are a significant issue for our community and something that needs constant work, and that's something that this council, I believe, is really starting to do well. In 2019, council officers assisted the outgoing committee with a call for a new committee, and a new committee was subsequently formed. Plans were made to hold an event in 2020, however, due to COVID-19, no event was obviously possible. Council also supported that committee to obtain funding from Visit Victoria. And this is important, councillors, because one of the major bases of having this event go forward is that a lot of work has been done with the new committee to actually do strategic planning in relation to the development of an event that is able to be run during both COVID times, but also developed to be viable at this period, in this period. The committee, as a result of that, are now planning for a Swiss Italia Festa in 2021. According to the guidelines in Council's event strategy, the event could be categorised as a signature or iconic event. To be a signature or iconic event, councillors, it has to attract more than 5,000 attendees. It has to have the capacity to attract interstate or intrastate visitation, which again, under COVID times is critically important as we enter into a time where there's no international visitation. So bringing people into the region is a critical pillar we're trying to build on. It has to have the capacity to drive overnight stays and or increase the visitor spend in the region. Must be part of the character and culture of Hepburn Shire and must be reinvigorating itself or continually improving, enhancing of the event. Support available for those iconic or signature events includes financial support of between $5,000 and $20,000 and in-kind council support to a maximum value of $10,000. I know, councillors, that the Swiss Italian Festa Committee have asked council to consider a $15,000 payment along with a $10,000 in-kind support, and that for the council officers, after reviewing the application and discussing it with the committee and then benchmarking against our other iconic events, signature iconic events being Chill Out, Bookfest and the Great Trentham Spud Festival, will make a recommendation to council that council actually consider funding up to $10,000 and $5,000 in kind, in line with benchmarking against those other major events. There have been a number of KPIs that have been developed for this event, councillors, which are detailed in the report, and I'll take that the report has been read, and those KPIs clearly state what the event has to achieve and gives council a level of confidence that we are actually funding an event that has to reach specific goals in order to secure and continue that funding. The other issue in there, councillors, of course, is COVID-19 and the impacts on events going forward. And I can assure council that this event will be COVID safe from the point of view that we're working with the event organisers to ensure that they actually run and manage a COVID safe event and they follow the Victorian COVID safe public event framework, and that will to ensure the safety of our community and, of course, anyone that's attending those events. Councillors, the recommendation for this is that council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a one-year memorandum of understanding with the Swiss Italia Festival Incorporated, which includes $10,000 in funding and $5,000 in-kind operational support.
Thank you, Mr Burgess. Councillor, is there any questions of Mr Burgess on this matter? Then I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Hood, seconded Councillor Henderson. Councillor Hood, do you want to speak in favour of the motion?
Only to say, Madam Mayor, that I endorse the comments that Mr Burgess has made, that this is an event well worth council's support and that the level of support, as benchmarked against other similar events, is quite appropriate.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. Councillor Henderson, do you want to speak?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, in my time on council, I've seen this particular festival start off very well and fail. And it hasn't failed because the event's no good. It's failed because volunteers were worn out and tired, and the job fells are too few. I hope this time that we're an reinvigorated committee, that this can be a very, very popular festival. What I like about this festival is it not only attracts visitors, this is a festival that can be enjoyed by locals. And so often we get complaints from local people and all around the Shire that we're catering to the tourists all the time. Well, this has the potential to cater to a lot of locals and also showcase our great heritage in the Swiss Italian community. So I wish this all the success. I'd love to be able to give it more money, but there are a lot of festivals around the town, around the Shire, that would love the sort of money that could be handed out, but there's only a limited pot. I'd like to think, though, that if this festival is successful and can be built up further, that that's not the end of the game for them. Because I know we say $10,000 is a lot of money, and it is. But it takes a lot of money to run these sorts of things, and really this is starting once again from scratch. And it takes a little bit of seed funding, and I commend the resolution to my colleagues, and I wish the people who are running this all the very much success on this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Do any other councillors want to speak in favour of the motion? Councillor Bray?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to speak in support of the motion to provide this funding for the Swiss Italian Festa's return. I think this is a much loved festival. It's been strongly supported by the local community, especially in the schools and those in particular that are learning Italian as a second language. And it's a great way to celebrate our heritage and our culture. And I know that the community has sorely missed this festival over the past years when it hasn't run, and people are very excited to see it coming back.
Thank you, Councillor Bray. Any other councillors want to speak in favour of the motion? Any councillors want to speak against the motion? No? Then I'll put the motion to the vote as read out by Mr Burgess. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Those in favour are Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Riley, Councillor Wood, Councillor Halliday and myself, Councillor Hewitt. So I declare that the motion is carried unanimously. We now move on to item 11.1, proposed special charge scheme solar saver program. And I'll ask Councillor Riley to leave the meeting. Thank you, Councillor Riley. And I'll ask Mr Bruce Lucas, the Director of Infrastructure and Development Services, to introduce the report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of the report is for council to approve or consider the approval for the list of properties and the special rates charged for those properties which have successfully applied for the Solar Savers program. Councillors, this is another good news story. The Solar Savers program has been very well received by the community once again this year. It's not the first time we've run it, and due to its popularity, it continues. The Solar Savers program involves council purchasing solar voltaic systems for homeowners which are eligible for a rates rebate. I'm talking about property owners such as pensioners, concession and healthcare card holders, and the cost of the system is paid for by council up front and then is paid back by the property owner through the savings in their power consumption or their power bills to council at a 0% rate interest over a period of 8 years. As I said, councillors, it is a good news story. It is one where council is supporting property owners to invest in renewable energy, and I would provide the officer's recommendation, which again is on page 99 of the agenda, and it's in two parts. That council agrees to proceed with the provided list of applicants to the Solar Savers program, and two, gives notice of its intention to declare a special charge to the impacted properties in accordance with section 163 of the Local Government Act 1989.
Thank you, Mr Lucas. Do any councillors have any questions of Mr Lucas? Mr Councillor Henderson.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Mr Lucas, preface my remarks on saying it's a wonderful scheme, but we're saying the people who are eligible, and how are they deemed to be eligible and who by? I can understand some of it, but if someone's to determine that someone isn't eligible, who does that? And obviously the properties are assessed as being able to take the solar panels, and are those assessments carried out by people qualified to, such as the structure of a building, the roof structure, being naturally having to be done by somebody qualified to assess that? And do we take into account the reactive nature of the panels against the old corrugated iron or galvanised iron roofs?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Henderson, for the question. In short, the eligibility is determined through an expression of interest process. It is assessed by an authorised provider and installer that has been appointed following a formal procurement tender process, and they are eligible and qualified installers to provide. The eligibility comes down to once the proposal is provided or the option is provided back to the people that have expressed an interest, it is a first in, best dressed scenario. So it's the first people that return and confirm their commitment to be involved in the program within the council's funding program are the ones that are deemed eligible. For any person or any property owner that expresses an interest that has come in outside of council's current budget allocation, they will then go to being one of the first priorities in any subsequent program council may consider. In terms of any reaction with existing roofing materials, I'm not sure exactly how that's been considered, but I do know that they are being installed by qualified installers. So I'm assuming that that has been taken into account, but I don't have any detail.
Mr Lucas, my understanding is that these solar panels are installed by electricians, and electricians really aren't qualified to assess the structural nature of a roof. They are qualified to install the electrical part of it and install the panels, but my understanding is they are not qualified to do it. I'd like, perhaps I'll speak about that later.
Through Madam Mayor, happy to take that on notice, happy to confirm those details. I understand that the successful contractor for the installation is Macedon Ranges Solar Power. In terms of whether there's subcontract components to that, I'm happy to take that on notice and provide some further detail.
Thank you, Mr Lucas. Councillor Bray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My question is simply a clarification that the council is paying up front so that the resident has no upfront costs for the solar panels, and that the charge that will end up on their rates will cover the cost over a period of 8 years with no interest. Is that how the scheme works? Just to clarify.
Through you, Madam Mayor, in short, yes, it is. So there's no upfront cost from the property owner, and the 8-year payback period is what is deemed to be eligible without having any ongoing increased financial commitment on the property owner.
Councillor Hood.
Yes, Madam Mayor, a question for Mr Lucas without notice. In the event that any works that are carried out on individual premises prove to be faulty in some way, what liability passes to council?
Through Madam Mayor, there is no liability that passes to council. This is an arrangement and an agreement or contract, if you like, between the property owner and the installer or the contracted installer, being Masson Ranges Solar Power. The prices or the proposal that is provided to the property owner is a fixed price component, and the liability is carried by the property owner. If they do works, then there is scope within the current contract for the proposal to be varied. But if all things stay the same, then the price is fixed and the liability is carried by the property owner.
Thank you, Mr Lucas. Are any further questions of Mr Lucas? No, then I'm in search of a motion, which I'll read it again because there's been some time, that Council 1 agrees to proceed with the provided list of applicants to the Solar Savers program, and 2, gives notice of its intention to declare a special charge to the impacted properties in accordance with section 163 of the Local Government Act 1989. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Henderson, seconded Councillor Halliday. Councillor Henderson, you want to speak to the motion?
Yes, Madam Mayor. On the face of this, it's a very, very good program that allows people to have access to solar panels like any other person who can afford to do so. There's no risk to council because the charge goes on against the property. So if the property is sold, or if the property passes, or if the unfortunate position is that the person who's taken out the loan dies, is it against the estate? So really, council is protected. The only money we stand to lose is a very, very small amount of interest. And I think the very small monetary amount is nothing compared to giving some of the poorest people in our community the opportunity. I would like to be assured, however, that those people who have that option, not many very old pensioners that I know are in a position to know whether their roof is sound. And if there should be a failure, that they might be up for the costs of actually pulling those panels off and rectifying them, or if the fluorescence that occurs between the reaction of the metal frames of the panels reacts on their roof and they have to replace a roof, then I'm sure that that should be done up front, which is the reason for my questioning. I want to be sure that we protect the most vulnerable people in our community by not just having an electrician take a squiz at a roof and say, this looks okay to me. Because if that roof collapses, as you've said, the onus falls back onto the property owner. So a great program, I'm very supportive of it, but I really like to see some safeguards put in to protect the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Henderson. Councillor Halliday?
No, I think Councillor Henderson has covered it quite satisfactorily. Thank you.
Any other councillor want to speak to the motion? Any councillor want to speak against the motion? In which case, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. It's Councillor Halliday, Councillor Foote, Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Henderson, and myself, Councillor Hewitt. So the motion is carried, and Mr Thomas is now asking Councillor Dryly to return to the meeting. Thank you, Mr Thomas.
Madam Mayor, if you could just update Councillor Dryly of the outcome of that motion, please.
Oh, certainly. Councillor Dryly, the motion was passed, was carried. 5-0. 6-0, sorry, I'll amend that. Now we move on to item 12.1, which is the 2020-2021 budget and December financial reports. And I'd like to ask Mr. Andrew Burgess, the Acting Director of Community and Corporate Services, to introduce the report. Thank you, Mr. Burgess.
Madam Mayor and councillors, the purpose of this report and the attachments is for council to review a summary of council's financial performance and position for the 2020-2021 financial year, a 6-month period up until the 31st of December 2020. Changes as part of the mid-year review, which will become a revised forecast up until 30 of June 2021, and operational and capital project reporting as at the 31st of December 2020. Councillors should be commended for diligently examining in depth the mid-year budget and financial reports. The aim of this report, councillors, combined with the attachments, is to provide assurances the council is prudently managing its financials in an open and transparent way in order to meet the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020. It should be noted that this report and the supporting attachments provide information on council's financial performance for that period of 1st July 2020 to the 31st of December 2020. The results in the first half of the financial year have been impacted by the supports that council has put in place in response to COVID-19 pandemic, which are in addition to those that strict restrictions have had on the operations of the council itself, and the amendments that were made as part of the mid-year budget review. Costs and reduced income as a result of COVID-19 is estimated at a minimum of $526,000 for the 2020-21 financial year. Council proposes that there's an adjusted underlying deficit result of $2.96 million, which is partially due to the following factors: increased operational grants of $501,000, offset by corresponding expenditure to deliver grant outcomes; additional costs to deliver waste services of $466,000; rent and fee waivers associated with council's COVID-19 relief support package of $219,000; direct COVID-19 recovery costs of $200,000; reduced interest income forecasted to be charged on overdue rates and charges of $110,000; and reduced income on investments due to lower than anticipated interest rates of $100,000. Councillors, in relation to the mid-year budget review, each year an analysis of the adopted budget occurs mid-year to quantify changes to the income and expenditure forecasts. These changes may be as a result of additional grants received, formal advice of budgeted grant allocations, or project activities, and those reflecting the priorities that council has responded to as a result of events or information obtained after the budget is adopted. This is a prudent financial practice. The attached mid-year review provides the detailed projects proposed as part of the review, which is a net cost of $1.70 million. Those projects include salary and operational savings of over $315,000, and these have occurred particularly as a result of COVID-19 and a number of staff working from home. Additional waste costs of $538,000 due to additional costs relating to new contract rates, transportation costs, and an increase in waste volumes linked to COVID-19 and people working from home. Additional capital works projects of $2.13 million, which have been funded by government stimulus programs. In the budget review, given the financial impact of COVID-19 and the pressure of council's cash position, changing priorities of council and the increasing number of projects being carried forward, a detailed review of current projects was undertaken. Again, this is a prudent undertaking by officers and councillors to ensure the long-term financial stability of this council and responding to the current financial situation, especially as a result of COVID-19, and ensuring that adequate resources are in place to deliver projects rather than projects to continue to be carried forward and delivered in subsequent financial years. A number of projects are being deferred to future financial years and will be considered as part of priorities in the setting of each budget. A few projects are being recommended to be cancelled, and there are detailed tables in this report, table A and B, which outline those projects or identify those projects. Councillors, I'll specifically bring to your attention the largest project that's to be recommended to be cancelled is that of the Daylesford Pool and Civic Plaza complex. This project is currently budgeted at a cost of $1.59 million with significant grant funding from the state government. Following a tender process which occurred early this year, the proposed cost was identified as being substantially higher. Councillors have also heard from the community stating their concerns that the project will not deliver the benefits expected for this community. Council is currently undertaking a Shire-wide aquatic strategy, and therefore officers are recommending that this project is cancelled and that the funding be returned to the state government, and any works at the Daylesford Pool or any aquatics facility in the Shire is reviewed as part of that aquatic strategy. Councillors, the recommendation is that Council approves the financial position and performance for the 6 months ending 31 December 2020. My apologies, Council. I'll read it as read. That Council approves the financial position and performance for the 3 months ending 31 December 2020. Notes the operating and capital works project reports effective 31 December 2020, noting that the project reports will be placed on Council's website. 3, approves mid-year budget adjustments as detailed in the attachments. And 4, approves amendments to projects as detailed in Table A and B and includes minor amendments as authorised by the Chief Executive Officer.
Thank you, Mr Burgess. Are there any councillors, are there any questions of Mr Burgess on that? Councillor Bray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just noting the fact that the council have listened to the community about the concerns around the Pool Plaza project. Could you just give us the figure that we would be saving if that project is not to go ahead? I think I've got here 698,466. Is that the figure?
Councillor Bray, I would need to take that on note unless the CEO wants to.
Take that, Councillor. Councillor, thank you for that question. That figure is correct, 698,466, Table B of the report. That is the net impact of the project. The project, as Councillor Director Burgess pointed out, my apologies, it was $1.6 million spend. There was significant grant funding from a number of partners that Council, as part of this project not proceeding, would hand that funding back. We've spoken to those partners and in agreement to continue working with them into the future on other projects. So a net saving to Council of $698,000.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions of Mr Burgess? Then I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Hood.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to move the officer's recommendation with 2 minor but important wording changes to recommendation 1, and that is that we note the financial position and performance for the 6 months ending 31 December 2020. Points 2, 3 and 4 I recommend.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. Do I have a seconder for the motion? Councillor Halliday, thank you. Councillor Hood, do you want to speak to the motion?
Briefly, yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. In noting this financial report and mid-year budget review, the income statement has a disturbing message in it for us, in that we are projected to finish this financial year with a very small marginal surplus, but with a fairly significant, almost $3 million underlying deficit. This underlines the impact of COVID-19, which I believe management has handled quite well, but it also highlights the cumulative effect of rate capping on our financial performance, and it also underlines our reliance on grant funding. The balance sheet, cash flow statement and capital works schedules all combine to illustrate how tight Council's cash position is currently and going forward, and that there is a very significant backlog in capital works projects. In that regard, I believe that this council, in its first 100 days, has done the responsible thing and examined our financial position and workload, and has therefore led to points 3 and 4, where we've chosen to cancel some projects entirely and defer others into the upcoming budgeting process for future years. I believe that's the responsible thing to have done under these circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Hood. Councillor Halliday?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any other councillor want to speak in favour of the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that I think that the council's done the sensible thing in that we've chosen to focus on projects that we know we can do well, and to make sure that we can finish those and deliver those at a high standard. To do that, we've had to take a good hard look at the list of projects and really analyse which ones we could put into the defer category or even the cancel category. And I think by actually opting to cancel some projects that did not have community support or that didn't have the same outcomes that we could look at some of the other projects, that this is a sensible decision to make sure that we're in a better financial position so that we can deliver on those other projects.
Thank you, councillor Bray. Are there any councillors who want to speak, any other councillors who want to speak in favour of the motion? Councillor
Madam
Dyer?
Mayor. Yes, I'd also like to support this motion. No one ever likes to see projects cancelled or deferred that have been given the green light in the past, that for obvious, they've made sense at the time. We have been through a very difficult 12 months with COVID situation. Workloads are heavy, and we're acknowledging that position by making this decision. And I support the officers in this. And it's a difficult decision to have to make, and some of them are uncomfortable projects to have to suspend or delay, cancel. But there are sound reasons behind it, I believe it.
Thank you, councillor Bray. Any other councillor want to speak in favour of the motion? Any councillors want to speak against the motion? Councillor Simpson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with everything in the motion except in item 4 that the REX project should go ahead. I think it should be cancelled. We're going into a period of record debt with this project. I think we need to explore our options. I also think the town hall project needs to go ahead and not to be placed on hold. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Simpson. Councillor Hood, you have the right of reply. Do you want to exercise it?
Madam Mayor, I can't really comment on whether or not the level of borrowings that council currently has does in fact represent a record high. I'm not aware of council's level of debt in the past. I can only comment from a financial position at the moment that council's level of borrowings in comparison to our asset base is remarkably low, and that we have actually significant capacity to be able to borrow should we wish to. I also note that the borrowing costs associated with current debt at $200,000 a year is quite low and does not place a significant cash flow or bottom line pressure on us at the moment. So I can only comment on that aspect. In terms of the REX project overall, I believe that the work that council is currently doing along with management to keep our finger on the pulse and to get very frequent, regular updates on the progress of that project is the right, responsible thing to do. And that's an ongoing piece of work, obviously.
Thank you, councillor Hood. I'll now put the motion and I'll read it out because of the changes that councillor Hood made. So the motion is that council note the financial position and performance for the 6 months ending the 31st of December 2020. 2, notes the operating and capital works project reports effective 31st of December 2020. noting that the project reports will be placed on council's website. 3, approves mid-year budget adjustments as detailed in the attachment. And 4, approves amendments to projects as detailed in table A and B, and includes minor amendments as authorised by the CEO. So I put the motion to the vote. All those in favour raise their hands. So it's Councillor Halliday, Councillor Hood, Councillor Dryley, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Simpson, sorry, not Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, and myself, Councillor Hewitt. All those councillors against the motion, raise their hand. Councillor Simpson. Thank you. The motion is carried. Item 12.2, records of councillor attendance. Mr. Burgess, Andrew Burgess, the Acting Director of Community and Corporate Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This again is a procedural report. Purpose of this report is for council to receive and note records of councillor attendance, commonly known as assemblies of councillors, records required to be presented under provisions of the Local Government Act 1989. Councillors, the following records of councillor attendance are reported. 1st of February 21, Disability Advisory Committee, Clunes Warehouse for location. 2nd of February 2021, councillor briefing in council chambers. 10th of February 2021, councillor briefing in the council chambers. 16th of February 2021, pre-council meeting briefing, council chambers. 23rd of February 2021, councillor briefing virtual. 1st of March 2021, Mineral Springs Reserve Advisory Committee in the council chamber. 2nd of March 2021, councillor briefing, council chamber. Councillors, the recommendation is that council receives and notes the records of councillor attendance.
Thank you, Mr. Burgess. Are there any questions of Mr. Burgess on this matter? Then I'm in search of a motion. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Moved Councillor Hood, seconded Councillor Henderson. Councillor Hood, do you want to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, anyone speak against the motion? And I'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour that council receive and note the records of councillor attendance. That's Councillor Simpson, Councillor Bray, Councillor Henderson, Councillor Halliday, Councillor Hood and Councillor Dryley and myself. So the motion is carried. There being no other items of agenda, I would just like to thank councillors for their attendance and their behaviour at the meeting tonight. Thank you also to council staff for all the work, for attending and all the work that you've put into preparation for this meeting. And thank you to those citizens who've tuned in to watch via the live streaming on Facebook. We certainly value and appreciate your interest and again, adds to the accountability of council and transparency of council. And finally, thank you to those citizens who put in 8 of the questions. It's that sort of response that's very important, again, for accountability and transparency, and we thank you. There being no other items on the agenda, I declare the meeting closed at 7:35 p.m. Thank you, councillors.